Hello, world. This is Evan Yearwood himself coming live and direct from New York City. This is E.Y.E, the Evan Yearwood Experience podcast. Welcome. I am finally back on my feet. If you don't know, let me tell you what's happened to me this month of February. I've been in and out of the hospital dealing with a couple different issues. Sickle cell crisis earlier in this month, which developed in my lower back and my lower extremities and my legs. I had a really long day of working and training, and my body was just exhausted at the end of the day. And I did I lifted this dresser from outside my house upstairs to the second floor, and that just put my body over the edge, basically. And I went into a sickle cell crisis, which is when your blood gets stuck in your veins, and it is extremely painful. They had to put me on some serious medication, serious painkillers, morphine, Dilaudid, Toradol. It was really bad, and I was in the hospital for 4 days. And then after I got back and I got better, I developed pneumonia somehow. It wasn't COVID related, according to them, and the CAT scans and X-rays. It was some viral pneumonia that they said that I caught somehow, and I had to go back to the hospital 2 different times for that, just to make sure that I'm totally on point with dealing with the pneumonia, because I had a hard time breathing, and it hurt every time I inhaled. So it was so strange this month. Basically been out of work, and obviously I haven't been able to make last week's episode. Luckily, the week before that, the episode of me and Garrison Red, which, by the way, you should go check that out. The guy that's a Team USA powerlifter. I had already pre-recorded that, so all I had to do was just drop it as soon as I got out the hospital. But yeah, it's been pretty tough. But we are back on track. You roll with the punches. This is why This is why it's important to get fit. This is why it's important to meditate and develop your mind, because only the strong survive. I mean, it's not like I went through something that was life-threatening, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you the reason why I was able to get well faster is because my body's on point, right? My mind is on point. Like, I wasn't depressed. I tell people I have pneumonia and their face would turn sour. And I'm like, come on, it's not that serious. Your mind seriously does something very impactful to your body when you believe you're good, right? Like, I had all different types of people and doctors and nurses tell me all different types of things about what's happening to me. And I'm like, listen, let's stick to the bottom line facts. Let's stick to what's happening. I'm good. We're going to be good. And guess what? I am good. And I'm getting better. I'm not going to be training for at least another week and a half. I'm not going to push it, and I probably won't even go back to the gym. I'll probably do some form of calisthenics. I'm staying on point with my diet. For the most part, I'd say 80%, which is really good, because usually I'm like negative 30%. 80% is pretty good. So let's get to the topic of this podcast, because I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I feel like this year I've been moving different. Like moving really different, operating different, not putting a lot more priority on myself and not what everybody else wants. Because the truth is, high value people know how to say no. See, it's not about being a people pleaser, or let me say it like this. I would have never considered myself as a people pleaser, but I would find it hard to say no to certain things, right? Somebody asks me, yo, you can drive me to New Jersey, you could show up to my event, yo, you can DJ here for free, yo, you can do this, that, and the third. Even something as simple as my phone rings and picking it up. You know what that does when you pick up a phone call? It immediately stops you from doing what you're currently doing to listen to somebody else. See, what a high value person does is they say no more often, because they have a respect and a priority for what they already got going on. So what I've been doing recently, if you've been one of the people that I have that hasn't really been in contact with me, listen, hey, no hard feelings. But the way I'm moving and the way anybody that has real respect for what they're doing should be moving is saying no more often. My phone rings and I look at it, I'm like, do I want to talk to this person right now? No. Definitely not. Especially the people that complain. What do I want to listen to you for? Right? I'm over here trying to do this and you over here trying to do nothing. You know? And I'm not trying to say I'm always on point, super hyper productive and all that. No, sometimes I'm just chilling. Sometimes I'm just relaxing. Sometimes I'm watching some anime. I don't want to listen to you right now. I don't want to pick up the phone call. I don't want to go and do that. That's some serious self-respect that I feel like I'm getting a lot better at. And it's not in a bougie way. It's not being Hollywood. It's just knowing, listen, if you say yes to them, you're saying no to you. You're always saying no to somebody. The real question is do you respect what everybody else wants more than what you want? So you're saying no anyway. You're just saying no to yourself. And maybe that's easier to deal with because, it's you. But when you have so much self-respect for yourself, it becomes way harder to sacrifice your time, your energy, your well-being on the whims of everybody else's crazy life, right? And what I'm realizing too is you get more respect like that when you don't just get pushed around. And it's not like before I started doing this more, I was literally at the whim of everybody else. But it was just more like let me be more harder about this, about saying no to somebody's request or picking up the phone call. I think this is a really interesting thing to keep in mind in your life if you're somebody that has a purpose, has a mission, or even if your life is just out of control. And it's not just because you're out of control, it's all the people around you are out of control. Like I got some people that I haven't talked to in a minute, right? Like, and it's because the way they live is totally out of control. I can't let that into my space. I can't let that distract me. I'd be on a phone call with somebody and we'll be talking for an hour and I just get off of that phone call drained. What's the point of that? There's no point in that. So high value people, they say no. They know how to say no. And more importantly, actually that's the more importantly part. They know how to say no. So it's one thing to say no and not allow people to take your time, but it's also another thing to know how to say no, to be classy with it, right? Not bougie with it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're always gonna hurt somebody's feelings when you don't show up or you don't pick up the phone call, whatever. But it's another thing to be classy about it, so you can still at least soften the blow. Still at least instead of garnering resentment, garner respect, right? Like I like what Jim Rohn said. He said whenever somebody asks him if he can show up somewhere, he always tells them this: "I'm not sure, but I'll let you know if anything changes." So instead of him saying, "No, I can't go. I won't be there," but he says, "I'm not too sure, but I'll let you know if anything changes." That's another way of saying no without actually saying no, right? When you look at somebody like Warren Buffett, I heard a story that a majority of the time, for any requests, he always says no, 95% of the time. And somebody was asking him, like, why do you do this? Like, what's the point of you throwing away all these different opportunities? And definitely let me know if I'm wrong about what he said right here. But it was something about on the lines about his most invaluable resource is his time. And yes, he has all the money in the world. If he lost it, he can eventually get it back, but you can never get back your time. See, that's what I'm really valuing right now. Who am I spending my time with? And the time that I'm spending with them, is it quality time, right? Is it time where I learn something? I get an experience out of it. We both enjoy something. You know, like nobody, we don't need to be spending any time with these people in our lives that as soon as they call us up, they're complaining, they're talking about something, we get invited to an event. Maybe we really want to go, but maybe we know we really can't go. You gotta learn how to say no. That's what a high value person does. So I wanted to share this with you. Obviously, I've had a great excuse to say no to so many different things because I've been in the hospital, in and out of the hospital for the last 2 weeks. But even before that, I mean, I don't gotta pick up everybody's phone call. I don't gotta respond to everybody's message. I don't gotta, I don't gotta jump at everybody's whim and request. I got my own things that I'm focused on, and maybe that's something that you've been struggling with. You put so much priority on everybody else's life, and you don't have any priority on your own life. Maybe you should sit down and think about what's that been costing you. Putting so much attention on everybody else, picking up every single phone call you see, right? Listen, if it's an emergency, this is something that I've been saying to myself lately. If it's an emergency, they'll call me again. If they don't call me again, it's not an emergency. So yeah, think about that. What's that costing you? Not saying no, saying yes to everybody else. Because at the end of the day, you are saying no to somebody and it's yourself. So, with that being said, this is the episode for today. I know it's not as long as I usually do, but we rocking and rolling. We're getting back on track. And you got to do what you got to do with what you have at that moment. So, I'll see you next time on the next episode of E.Y.E. This is Evan Yearwood, and peace out.